At 3:47 p.m. on February 21st, 1994, FBI Special Agent Mike Rochford watched Aldrich Ames pull into his driveway in Arlington, Virginia. 52 years old, 31-year CIA veteran, chief of Soviet counterintelligence, the man responsible for catching Soviet spies. Ames drove a red Jaguar XJ6 worth $50,000. He'd paid cash for his house, $540,000. His CIA salary was $60,000 a year. In 47 seconds, FBI agents would surround his car and end one of the most devastating betrayals in American intelligence history. His colleagues thought he'd inherited money. His neighbors assumed he'd made smart investments. The FBI knew better. For 9 years, Aldrich Ames had sold CIA secrets to the KGB. At least 10 agents were dead because of him. 10 men with families. 10 men who trusted America would protect them. Ames had investigated his own leaks, attended meetings about the mole hunt, looked colleagues in the eye while their sources were being executed in Moscow. The math had been staring everyone in the face. Nobody did it. The CIA had been bleeding secrets since 1985. June 1985. Sergei Motorin arrested by the KGB. September 1985. Valery Martynov recalled to Moscow. November 1985. Dmitri Polyakov, the CIA's most valuable agent, compromised. All arrested within months of each other. By 1987, at least 10 were confirmed executed. The pattern was impossible. Soviet agents working for the CIA kept disappearing. Operations blown before they started. Intelligence networks collapsing overnight. Moscow station effectively blind. Someone with access to everything was talking. The CIA had 45 active Soviet sources in 1985. By 1987, most were dead or in prison. The KGB knew things they shouldn't know. Agent identities, safe house locations, communication schedules. Technical operations nobody outside Langley should have known existed. The damage was catastrophic, but finding the leak would take 9 years, because the man selling secrets was the man investigating the leaks. April 16, 1985, 11:30 a.m., Aldrich Ames walks into the Soviet embassy on 16th Street in Washington, D.C., 43 years old, 21 years with the CIA, going through an expensive divorce. His wife, Nancy, wanted money. His girlfriend, Rosario, a Colombian cultural attaché, had expensive tastes. Ames owed $34,000 in debt, another $16,000 to his ex-wife. His salary was $45,000 per year. The math didn't work. He'd been thinking about this for weeks. He knew what the Soviets wanted. Names. The CIA had recruited Soviets working in Washington, KGB officers, GRU intelligence officers, people passing secrets to America. Ames knew who they were, their real names, their CIA code names, where they lived, how they communicated, everything, and he knew what that information was worth. He carried a plastic shopping bag. Inside, a note and documents. The note said he needed $50,000. In return, he'd provide the names of CIA sources in the Soviet government. He asked for Sergei Chuvakin, a Soviet diplomat Ames was supposedly trying to recruit for the CIA. Chuvakin thought the meeting was routine. Diplomatic discussion. The CIA thought Ames was working a recruitment. Neither knew what was really happening. Ames handed over the bag. Inside were the names of at least 10 Soviet officials working for the CIA. Valery Martynov, Sergei Motorin, others, some of the CIA's most valuable sources. Chuvakin took the bag to KGB officers at the embassy. They understood immediately. This wasn't normal intelligence. This was gold. An officer inside CIA counterintelligence was offering to betray everyone. Within hours, the KGB authorized payment. $50,000 cash. The money would be ready at their next meeting. Ames walked out of the embassy after 20 minutes. Nobody stopped him. Nobody questioned him. He just signed 10 death warrants for $50,000. June 1985. Ames meets Chuvakin again. This time he provides more. complete files on CIA operations targeting the Soviet Union, technical details about surveillance, communication methods. The KGB pays him $20,000 to $50,000 per meeting. Ames is now making more from the Soviets than from his CIA salary. The money goes into his checking account. Large deposits, $10,000 here, $20,000 there. Nobody at the CIA notices. His bank doesn't file required currency transaction reports. The system that's supposed to catch this fails. Ames uses the money to pay off debts, keeps his girlfriend happy, starts living better. Still, nobody asks questions. July 1985. The first arrests begin in Moscow. Sergei Motorin, CIA codename Gauze, KGB Line X officer who'd been passing scientific and technical intelligence to the CIA since 1984. Arrested July 1985. Interrogated. The KGB wanted to know everything. How the CIA had recruited him, who his contacts were, what he'd revealed. Motorin was executed by firing squad in 1987. He was 41 years old. His family was told he'd committed crimes against the state. They didn't learn the truth for years. Ames received another payment from the KGB. His running total, over $200,000. One life was worth about $50,000. August 1985. Ames marries Rosario Casas Dupuy. The divorce from Nancy is final. He immediately spends money. New furniture, expensive dinners, travel. His colleagues notice he seems happier, less stressed. They think marriage is good for him. Nobody asks where the money comes from. Ames tells people Rosario's family is wealthy, Colombian money. People believe it because they want to, because questioning a colleague means accusing him of something unthinkable. September 1985. Valery Martynov is recalled to Moscow. CIA codename Gentile, KGB counterintelligence officer who'd been reporting on Soviet intelligence operations in Washington since 1982. The CIA station chief in Moscow tries to warn him, sends messages. Stay in the United States, defect. Don't go back. Martynov thinks he's safe. He goes home, arrested within days, interrogated for months. The KGB wanted every detail. Martynov was executed by firing squad in May 1987. He was 36 years old. He had a wife and 2 young children. They lived in Virginia. His wife begged him not to return to Moscow. He went anyway. Ames had sold his name for cash. Payment came through. Another $50,000. October 1985. Dmitri Polyakov, one of the CIA's most valuable agents, is compromised. Codename Bourbon, also known as Top Hat. Soviet military intelligence general, had been passing secrets to the CIA since 1961. 24 years of intelligence on Soviet military capabilities, strategic planning, weapon systems. The CIA considered him irreplaceable. Ames gave his name to the KGB in that first package. The Soviets waited, watched, built their case, arrested Polyakov in 1986. The CIA didn't learn about it until later. Polyakov was executed by firing squad in 1988. He was 62 years old. He'd risked everything to help the West win the Cold War. Ames sold him for money to buy a Jaguar. The CIA begins to notice something's wrong. Late 1985. Too many sources going silent. Too many operations failing. Moscow station reports strange patterns. Agents arrested. Communications compromised. Safe houses watched. Something fundamental has changed. An investigation begins. Small team, looking for answers. They consider possibilities. Technical compromise. Someone broke CIA communications. The Soviets cracked CIA codes. There's a mole in Moscow station. There's a mole at headquarters. They investigate everyone with access. 40 people, 50 people. The list is long. Aldrich Ames is on the list, but so are dozens of others. Ames passes a polygraph in 1986. The examiner notes some deceptive responses. Ames explains them away. Stress from the divorce, personal problems, money worries. The examiner accepts it. Ames passes. The investigation continues, but Ames stays in place. Ames is transferred to Rome, CIA station in Italy, a prestigious posting. His performance is mediocre. Colleagues notice he drinks heavily. Long lunches, returns to the office drunk. sometimes 3 times a week, accomplishes little work in the afternoons. The Rome security officer reports Ames's drinking and spending to supervisors. Ames drives expensive cars, wears expensive clothes, takes expensive vacations on a CIA salary in Rome. The report goes nowhere. Ames is counseled about his drinking. He promises to do better, continues anyway, and continues selling secrets. He meets with KGB officers in Rome, passes documents, receives payments. The KGB pays him over $1 million during his Rome tour. He's careful, uses diplomatic immunity. The Italians don't notice. The CIA doesn't notice. By 1989, Ames has made over $1.8 million from espionage. He returns to Washington, buys a house. The house purchase, $540,000, paid in cash, 2512 North Randolph Street, Arlington, Virginia. A colleague, Diana Worthen, visits the new house, notices it's expensive, asks how Ames afforded it. Rosario says they paid cash. Worthen thinks this is odd, mentions it to someone. The information doesn't go anywhere. Ames also buys the Jaguar, a Honda, expensive furniture. Credit card charges run $20,000 to $30,000 a month. His CIA salary is about $60,000 per year. The math is screaming. Nobody does it. The security review that should catch this doesn't. Ames files financial disclosure forms, lies on them, says Rosario's family gave them money, phone company money from Colombia. The CIA accepts this explanation, doesn't verify it, doesn't call Colombia, doesn't check bank records. The system designed to catch spies fails completely. The CIA's counterintelligence office knows there's a mole. 1991. Too many compromises. Too much damage. The pattern is undeniable. A small team is assigned to find the leak. Sandra Grimes, Jean Vertefeuille, Paul Redman, Diana Worthen, Dan Payne. 5 officers, looking through years of compromised operations, trying to find the common thread. They create a list, everyone with access to all the compromised operations. The list is long. Ames is on it, but the investigation is slow. They're looking for evidence, not just suspicion, something concrete. They analyze every compromised operation. When was it compromised? Who had access? Where were they at the time? The data points start converging. August 1992. Sandra Grimes discovers something. Ames's bank records, large cash deposits, correlation with meetings. Every time Ames met with Sergei Chuvakin, money appeared in his account. $10,000, $20,000, $50,000. The deposits match the meetings. The pattern is perfect. Grimes knows. This is it. The CIA brings in the FBI. October 1993. The mole hunt is no longer just CIA. This is a criminal investigation. The FBI assigns a team. Les Weiser, Mike Rochford, others. They start surveillance. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, watching Ames's house, following his car, documenting everything. The team needs evidence for prosecution. They bug his house, plant listening devices in his office, tap his phones, search his trash. They're looking for proof. October 9th, 1993. Ames throws away a message in his trash. The FBI retrieves it. It's a draft, notes for a dead drop, mentions specific dates, specific locations. The FBI recognizes the tradecraft. This is espionage. They keep watching, May 1993 to February 1994. The FBI documents everything. Surveillance photos. Ames makes chalk marks on mailboxes. The signal, I have intelligence. Meet at the backup site. The FBI knows these signals from KGB training manuals. They watch Ames service dead drops. He goes to Foxstone Park, leaves packages, returns to his car. FBI agents photograph everything. They watch Russian officials retrieve the packages, follow them to the embassy. The evidence is building. Bank records show Ames has deposited over $1 million in unexplained income. His financial disclosure forms are lies. His explanation about Colombian phone company money doesn't check out. The FBI calls Colombia. There is no phone company fortune. Rosario's family is comfortable, not wealthy. The story is fiction. Ames made it up. Everyone believed it because nobody checked. The FBI wants to catch Ames in the act. They plan to wait, let him make one more drop, arrest him with classified documents in his possession. But there's a problem. February 1994, Ames is scheduled to travel to Moscow, CIA training trip. If he goes to Moscow, he might defect. The CIA can't risk losing him. The FBI has to move. The arrest is scheduled for February 21st, 1994. The day before his trip, the FBI will take him at his house. Early morning, before he goes to work. The team prepares. 30 agents, arrest warrant, search warrant. This is the culmination of a 9-year hunt. They've waited long enough. February 21st, 1994, 8 a.m. FBI agents are in position around Ames's house. Cars on the street. Agents in unmarked vehicles. Watching, waiting. Inside the house, Ames is getting ready for work. He has no idea this is his last morning of freedom. He's scheduled to leave for Moscow the next day. He's packed, ready. The KGB has paid him $4.6 million over 9 years. He thinks he's beaten the system. 9:20 a.m. Ames walks out of his house, gets in his Jaguar, starts the engine. FBI agents move in. Rochford approaches the car, opens the door. Ames looks up, confused. FBI, you're under arrest. The words don't seem real to Ames. He doesn't resist, doesn't run, just sits there. 47 seconds later, he's in handcuffs. The arrest team swarms. Agents search his car. Inside the trunk, classified documents, CIA internal publications, material he has no reason to possess. In his briefcase, more classified documents. He was taking them to work, or to Moscow, or to pass to the Russians. Within minutes, Rosario is arrested inside the house. She's been helping him, handling money, knew about the espionage. Their son, Paul, age 5, is inside. He doesn't understand what's happening. Child Services is called. The house is searched. FBI agents tear through every room. The search takes hours. They find cash. $40,000 in a desk drawer. Documents. Communications with the KGB. Dead drop instructions. Russian diplomatic contact information. Computer disks with classified information. The garage contains spy equipment. Hollowed coins for hiding messages. A fake rock with a compartment. Modified everyday objects for concealing secrets. This is professional espionage equipment. Everything the FBI needs to prove their case. Back at FBI headquarters, Ames is in an interrogation room. Les Weiser sits across from him. First question. Why did you do it? Ames answers immediately. The money. No ideology. No loyalty to Russia. No belief in communism. Just money. Pure greed. He's calm, almost relieved. He's been living a double life for 9 years. The strain has been enormous. Part of him is glad it's over. He starts talking. Names the agents he betrayed. The money he received. The methods he used. Everything. The FBI records it all. This confession will make prosecution simple. The CIA conducts damage assessment February through June 1994. How bad is this? The team goes through Ames's access. What did he see? What could he have passed? The answer is everything. During his 9 years as a spy, Ames had access to virtually every CIA operation targeting the Soviet Union. Agent identities, technical collection methods, communications protocols, future operations, budget information. He passed all of it. The confirmed dead number at least 10. The real number might be higher. Some agents simply disappeared. The Soviets never acknowledged arresting them. They might have been executed quietly. The CIA will never know. The operations blown exceed 100. Intelligence collection on Soviet military capabilities, Soviet nuclear weapons programs, Soviet intelligence operations against the West, all compromised. The cost to rebuild these networks exceeds $1 billion and will take decades. Moscow station won't fully recover until after the Soviet Union collapses. The victims. The CIA identifies them, releases some names publicly. Dmitri Polyakov, codename Bourbon, Soviet military intelligence general, recruited 1961, provided intelligence for 25 years. Ames betrayed him in 1985, arrested 1986, executed 1988. He was 62, married, 3 children. The CIA considered him one of their greatest assets. Valery Martynov, codename Gentile, KGB counterintelligence officer, recruited 1982, reported on Soviet intelligence operations in Washington, lived in Virginia with his wife and 2 children, recalled to Moscow, September 1985, arrested immediately, executed May 1987. He was 36. His wife had begged him not to go back. Sergei Motorin, codename Gauze, KGB Line X officer, recruited 1984, passed scientific and technical intelligence, arrested July 1985 in Moscow, executed 1987. He was 41, single, had warned the CIA about Soviet penetration of Western technology companies. Ames sold these 3 men for less than $200,000 combined. The price of his house. Others died too. The CIA won't release all the names. Some families don't want publicity. Some agents worked for other countries. British MI6, German intelligence, Allied services. Ames betrayed them too. The impact rippled through NATO intelligence. Everyone the CIA had told about Soviet sources was now compromised. The British were furious. The Germans demanded explanations. Trust between agencies shattered. How could the CIA let this happen? How could they miss the red flags for 9 years? The questions were legitimate. The CIA had no good answers. Multiple security reviews had failed. Financial monitoring had failed. Polygraphs had failed. Supervisor oversight had failed. The system had failed at every level, and 10 men were dead because of it. April 28, 1994, U.S. District Court, Eastern District of Virginia. Aldrich Ames appears before Judge Claude Hilton. The government offers a plea deal, plead guilty to espionage and conspiracy to commit espionage. Life in prison without possibility of parole. In exchange, Rosario gets a reduced sentence. 5 years. She'll be released when their son is 10. Ames agrees. He doesn't want a trial, doesn't want more publicity, and he wants Rosario to avoid a long sentence. The prosecutor reads the charges. Conspiracy to commit espionage, tax evasion, wire fraud. Ames pleads guilty to all counts. Judge Hilton asks if he understands the sentence, life without parole. Ames says yes. The judge asks if he has anything to say. Ames speaks briefly. No real apology, just acknowledgement. I did what I'm accused of. The judge pronounces sentence. Life imprisonment without possibility of parole, forfeiture of all assets, $547,000 seized by the government, turned over to the Victims Assistance Fund. Ames is remanded to custody immediately. He's taken from the courtroom. He'll never be free again. October 20th, 1994. Rosario Ames is sentenced. 63 months in federal prison. She knew about the espionage, helped launder money, spent the blood money on clothes, travel, and jewelry, but she cooperated with investigators, provided information. The court gives her a reduced sentence. She'll serve 5 years, released in 1999. She'll be deported to Colombia, never allowed back in the United States. Their son, Paul, goes to live with relatives. He's 6 years old. His father is serving life. His mother is in prison. He'll grow up knowing his father betrayed his country and got people killed. Aldrich Ames is sent to the United States Penitentiary in Allenwood, Pennsylvania, high-security federal prison, later transferred to Federal Correctional Institution in Cumberland, Maryland, medium-security prison where he remains today. Inmate number 4087-083. He's now 83 years old, been in prison for 30 years. He's given interviews over the years, shows no real remorse, blames the CIA for poor security, blames the Cold War for creating the situation, talks about the money, about how easy it was, how nobody checked anything. He's right about that. The CIA's failures were institutional, systemic. Not just one person missing one red flag. Everyone missed everything. Security reviews that weren't done. Financial checks that weren't performed. Polygraphs that gave false negatives. Supervisors who didn't report problems. A culture that trusted people too much, that didn't ask uncomfortable questions, that believed lies because investigating meant accusing. Ames exploited every weakness, and people died. The CIA implemented changes. Post-Ames security reviews became mandatory. Annual financial disclosure with verification, foreign travel monitoring, spouse background checks, lifestyle investigations for anyone with access to sensitive intelligence. Polygraphs became more frequent and more sophisticated. The security division expanded, more investigators, more resources, more authority to question employees. The culture changed. Trust but verify became the standard. Financial problems became disqualifying. Unexplained wealth triggered immediate investigation. The barn door was locked after the horse was gone, but it was locked. The FBI learned lessons too. The Ames case showed that intelligence agencies could miss moles for years. The FBI created permanent counterintelligence units, assigned to work with CIA security, joint investigations, shared information. The walls between agencies came down, at least somewhat. Today, 30 years after his arrest, the Aldrich Ames case is taught at CIA training facilities. Every new officer studies it, learns the red flags, the warning signs, the pattern. They learn about Dmitri Polyakov, about Valery Martynov, about Sergei Motorin, about the 10 men who died because someone wanted a nicer car. The lesson isn't subtle. Betrayal has consequences. Real people die. Real families are destroyed. Your colleagues trust you. That trust is sacred. Break it, and you don't just break rules. You kill people. The CIA memorial wall at headquarters has stars for fallen officers. Some of those stars represent the agents Ames betrayed. The stars have no names, just stars. The identities remain classified, but the people who work there know. Some of those stars are there because Aldrich Ames wanted money. Sandra Grimes and Jean Vertefeuille, the two CIA officers who caught Ames, wrote a book about the case. Circle of Treason, published 2012. They dedicated it to Dmitri Polyakov, the general who risked everything for the West, who provided intelligence for 25 years, who was betrayed for money. Grimes passed away in 2025. She spent her last years giving speeches about the case, warning about insider threats, telling people about the cost, not just to intelligence operations, to human beings, to families who lost fathers and husbands. She wanted people to remember, not just that there was a mole, but that the mole killed people, real people with names and families. She wanted those names remembered. Grimes died knowing she'd caught one of the CIA's worst traitors. But she never forgot the price. 10 men dead, families destroyed, a scar on the CIA that never fully healed. That's why this story matters. Not because espionage is exciting, not because spy stories make good television, but because when someone inside the intelligence community turns traitor, people die. Aldrich Ames sat in meetings about the mole hunt, investigating his own crimes, looking colleagues in the eye, knowing he'd sent their agents to execution. The psychological compartmentalization required for that reveals something dark about human nature, about what greed does to people, about what we're capable of when we decide money matters more than lives. Ames received $4.6 million. Divided by 10 confirmed dead, that's $460,000 per life. That's what he thought they were worth, less than the cost of his house. The final irony. Ames spent 9 years living a lie, thought he was smarter than everyone around him, thought the investigation would never focus on him, thought he could stop whenever he wanted. He was wrong about all of it. The FBI caught him. His name became synonymous with betrayal. He's been in prison for 30 years. Will die there. The Jaguar is gone. The house is gone. Rosario served her time and was deported. Their son grew up without parents. Ames has nothing. A cell. A number. Decades to think about whether the money was worth it, to think about the 10 men who died, to think about Dmitri Polyakov, 62 years old, executed by firing squad because Aldrich Ames needed $50,000. If this story mattered to you, do something for me right now. Hit that like button. Every single like tells YouTube's algorithm to show this story to more people. Stories like this don't get told unless people like you make them visible. Hit subscribe and click the notification bell. We're pulling stories like this from declassified archives, court records, and forgotten files every single week. Real betrayals, real consequences, real people who paid the price for someone else's greed. Drop a comment right now. Tell me where you're watching from. United States? United Kingdom? Canada? Germany? Doesn't matter. This community is worldwide. If you work in intelligence or law enforcement, I want to hear from you. If someone in your family served during the Cold War, tell us. Or just type "never forget" so we know you're here. You're not just a viewer. You're part of making sure Dmitri Polyakov, Valery Martynov, and Sergei Motorin aren't forgotten. You're part of making sure the next generation of intelligence officers learns from Aldrich Ames's betrayal. Our community is growing every day. From countries all over the world, every single one of you matters. One more thing, share this video. Text it to someone you know who's into Cold War history. Post it on Facebook, tweet it, whatever. These stories deserve a bigger audience than they get. Thank you for watching. Thank you for making sure these 10 men stay alive in memory. Thank you for making sure Aldrich Ames's betrayal is remembered as the cautionary tale it is. These weren't just operations. They were lives. You're helping us honor them. See you in the next story.